I pulled a song from the future, and it was the hardest one to face. Welcome to Wild Songs. We're talking about the ache. And when I think about which songs hurt the most or the hardest to write, this one comes to mind. This is the story of a strange song. It's a song that haunted me for months and maybe even haunts me still today. It was created in Washington, finished in Michigan, edited and revised in California, and recorded back in Michigan over a 3-year journey towards something that I didn't know would crush me. So whatever you do, don't skip this. Like, if I can give some selfish reasons why, it's because I'm going to be really vulnerable with you. And I hope that you can welcome this space for me to share some pretty personal things. So let's dive in. If I told you I wrote a song that came to me 3 months in advance, what would you think? I'm not sure what you believe in terms of dreams or visions or supernatural encounters, but we're going to tackle all this kind of stuff today. You're not going to want to skip anything in this episode because this is about experiencing art, experiencing music in a different way. It's a deeply personal experience where a song isn't just some book on the shelf, but it's in you. It's a part of you. It's a part of your story. And this is something I can't emphasize enough when I'm mentoring artists. You know, I talk with hundreds of artists every year. And this is so evident to me that most people's relationship to music is that it's this tool that gets you things. It gets you recognition, validation, maybe critical acclaim or social status, or it generates revenue or it launches a career. But not a lot of artists are having deep experiences, like deep encounters with their songs. Sometimes their relationship with music is shallow. It's up here. And my job is to take them down here where all the life-changing stuff happens. When I think about which of my songs are the most honest and vulnerable, this one comes to mind. And I'll certainly get to that vulnerability soon. But first, I have to talk about this strangeness of how this all came to be. This is a pretty unusual way to write a song. What I mean is I wrote it in the future. I grabbed it from a realm that didn't exist yet, didn't make sense yet, and I pulled it into my present little world where it messed with me. Let me explain. As humans, we're capable of making predictive or prophetic songs, or at least glimpse sometimes into another realm. What's crazy is that I actually wrote the core of this song a few months before what the song was about even came to be. I remember I was standing in the front room of my studio in Washington, playing this little riff on the mandolin, and I knew intuitively that this song was about my wife. Like, you know, sometimes you make something, you just know, and I just knew, man, this is about Lindsay. It was pretty, it was tender, and I thought, man, this is going to be one of my best songs I've ever written about her. But what I couldn't figure out was I kept getting to this line, she would never come back. Sometimes when I'm writing, I'm just singing words and I'm just mumble jumble, just getting words out, putting filler words out. But I kept hitting this line, she would never come back. And I actually struggled with it for a few days because I wanted this song to be, you know, this sweet romantic tune about my wife, but it just kept taking this dark turn into sorrow and mourning and even loss. I didn't know what to do with it. See, there was weight on it, and what I mean is that it felt important. It felt heavy. It wasn't something you just treat like a nice, cute little idea. I knew it was going to be an important song. I'm very intuitive in my writing, and so I always want to acknowledge and honor what the song might be saying. In fact, I say this on a weekly basis to my clients when I'm helping them with their music. Listen to your song. It's trying to speak. It's trying to say something. It's giving you clues. It's whispering a mystery. So there's this cognitive dissonance going on. She would never come back. How am I going to make a song about my wife that has that line in it? And whenever I tried to change that line, my spirit knew like it shouldn't be changed. So I just hung up the song for a bit because I couldn't make sense of it emotionally, spiritually, artistically. And then 3 months later, my wife got pregnant with our second child. It was summertime. We were excited. I just accepted a job teaching songwriting in Michigan, and we were preparing for a move across the country. And then we had a miscarriage. It was early in our pregnancy. And at the time, We had a 1.5-year-old, we were new parents. We didn't see this coming. And, just personally, my faith took a pretty big beating. It wasn't about like, where are you, God? Or shaking my fist kind of thing. It wasn't like a crisis of faith of like, what do I even believe anymore? No, it was more so the silent emptiness of knowing that you really stood in your faith. Like you really went for it and lost. It was one of those times where my wife came back from the doctor. She said, babe, we might lose this baby. And I truly felt like my faith was alive. It was powerful. Like I could walk into heaven and insist and plead and maybe even demand that God keep our child. But life doesn't always work like that. I often walk in the dark. So it wasn't until after the miscarriage, I came back to the song one night, and I remember it hit me like a flood. Yes, this song was about Lindsay, but it was deeper than that. It was about our child. Before any of this had taken place, months prior, I was perceiving a realm that I had no room for in my life, no grid, no experience with. And what I'd sensed in that song was actually our daughter's spirit, which is very similar to my wife's. I had peered above the clouds, so to speak, and seen something from another realm, and I grabbed it and moved through time. Now, maybe a better way for me to say it is I didn't glimpse and grab it. The song decided to enter our world like a little meteorite crashing into my planet. This foreign object, this song from who knows where, was now right in front of me for me to touch and feel and explore and try to make sense of. I was talking with my wife last week about making this episode and the song, and she said, well, Kyle, perhaps God in his grace was preparing me for a loss and gave this song to me to be able to grieve somehow. And that's for sure what it was. It was a gift. And I know that's really weird to say. It feels wrong to say. But it's true. Right in the middle of pain, right in the middle of grief, right in the cold, hard, brutal reality that we often experience, man, it's offensive to say, but there's a gift. I'd probably sum it up in a word by calling it beauty. Beauty. Man, this is tough. I was talking with a friend this week who had tears in his eyes as he's been deeply, deeply torn from heart-wrenching grief that he's been walking through with a family member. And he said, I don't know how to put words on this. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to make sense. And I said, I wouldn't expect you to know how to do that at all. Right in the ugliness, though, right in the mess, there's still something beautiful going on. There's a clue of how life is, because we find this all the time. In literature, in film, in stories, and throughout history, some of our darkest moments as humans, there's still these flowers blooming in the way people can love and forgive and find hope and find meaning. There's something going on here. So we try to express it and we try to get it out. Was this song easy for me to finish writing? 100% no. Like, how do you use language? How do you put words together to make sense of something like this? Losing a child. So of course, I took a more poetic turn, and many of the lines I'm sure don't make sense to the listener, but it's the only way I could begin touching on the way I felt. And then you feel exhausted just from writing the blessed thing. And now you have to muster the courage to figure out how to perform it, how to record it, how to bring it to life. Was it easy to record or produce? 100% no. Like it took everything in me to get that balance of tenderness and fragility, life and death on edge. And the last thing you want as a producer is to, write this powerful song, but then you can't translate that rawness and pain and beauty, and it just comes out like a hot mess. Oh man, that's the worst. So there's this tightrope walk. I even recorded the song between two keys. It's too sharp for one key, it's too flat for the other, but I put it right in the middle because it's in this nebulous world of dissonance that falls between the cracks. I was recording the vocals to the finished song like a week before I was going to release it. It was late one night, and I just began bursting out in tears. Headphones on, right on the microphone, I was singing it. The whole musical section at the beginning of the bridge you're going to hear, you can hear me cry if you listen to it. So I had to add this little section to it. After a 3-year process of writing the song, I was 98% done, but it wanted more, which meant it was going to take all night. And I could have settled and said, Kyle, it's done. Just let it be. But we have to do justice to our songs. I knew that this song would require more of me than I wanted to. More time, more energy, more emotions, more vulnerability. And that means less sleep, less comfort zone, less playing it safe, less settling. This is the mystery, my friends, of pouring out our lives to God through our music. This is what it means to not settle. If you're an artist, for crying out loud, if you're a human being, don't you dare settle. You won't get to beauty by settling. Sometimes you come to beauty through joy and celebration and pleasure, and other times you get to beauty through heartache and pain and loss and grief. But either way, beauty doesn't come by cheap roads. You can't settle and expect to be in the presence of beauty. So let me say it again. Don't you dare settle. I had a deeply profound encounter one morning shortly after our loss. I don't know how to say it, but I met her. Just like the title, Hiding in Shadows. Our daughter, I believe it was a daughter, she was very much among the shadows. Like this white curtain, this veil was between us. And it was hard to see, but we came close and looked at each other. And I can't put into words, but I felt her. I knew her. I understood her. There was a peace and a maturity about her that's beyond words. And one day, I'll get to meet her and find out her name. What a beautiful day that's going to be. But in the meantime, on this side of life, I carry the weight of knowing that she won't be in our lives, that she won't be a part of our family. And I hope that, perhaps this song can be healing and helpful. Or if anything else, be an example for what it means to be open and vulnerable and willing to engage in pain and heartache and suffering and brokenness. My wife will always say, this is perhaps one of the best songs I've written. It's beautiful, but yet it's not something she can listen to. And I get that. But I'm hoping that maybe there are other couples out there who've had miscarriages, or just in the larger population, people who've experienced loss and grief and mourning and are trying to reconcile that with their faith. I hope this can help. So I want to invite you right now into a new space. Put your headphones on, silence your phone. Please put away distractions. I know it's tough, but it's worth it. Soak in the lyrics and be nourished. And as always, I'm extremely grateful that you're drinking this in. I do value you giving me your time. And I pray it touches you as it has touched me. Blessings.
Numbers, is it oil and water that can't be mixed at all? Our thoughts were helplessly lost from the start, and all our modes of living and loving would never bring her back. No, she would never come back. Why are we hiding? I am often awoken by visions of a fault line ripping right through these quiet country cupboard still hold our seasonings. Your eyes have been encased in that window for some time to mend what little of our faith that was left, and time to find if a faith that's unbending could ever bring her back. But she would never, never, never come back. Is that why we're hiding? Tell me, why are we hiding? Aren't we tired of hiding? We tried and we tried and we tried, but it came the night with the winter grips shone. She would never come back, and the winds of our fathers swept through the doors. She would never come back, and our lips threw to heaven the weight of our prayers, but she would never come back. Oh, the weight of our prayers is there waiting our prayers. No, she would never come back. She would never come Darling, why are we hiding in